let you guys know that before this video starts, Phil's audio and video are kind of off in this episode, but it doesn't take away at all from what he's sharing or anything like that. So enjoy.
And
Yeah,
so that
one
was
of them.
so proud.
It's either like one of them really likes you, and the other one's like, yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's
There's a force in all of us that science knows nothing about, the force of fear.
Welcome everyone to Induced Fear. I'm your host Oscar, and with me to start off 2023, I have Phill from Exploring with Phill back on the show. You guys loved the EVPs and the evidence that he had to show, so why not have you come back on? How you doing, Phill?
great, man, great. Thanks for having me on again. I had a blast last time we were on. We had a good time just talking about, a bunch of different paranormal things and then going over the EVP and the evidence I've caught. So, yeah, it was fun. I thought it was a no-brainer to come back because we had so much fun the first time. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm
I
glad
can't
you
wait
had
to get
fun.
into it. Yeah, man, hell yeah. It was a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get into tonight. We got some more EVPs to talk about and I'll share some crazy personal stories a little bit later on, but yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, uh I went into Tony Merkel's from the confessionals. His I went into one of his lives, and he was like, "I saw you sent Phill, my buddy Phill, some stickers."
Mhm. Yep.
And he was like, "He's a real good dude. He's a real good dude. Crazy stories he has."
Yeah, 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 yeah. Tony, me and Tony go back a long time ago. We met in college. So like
Yeah.
I don't know if all colleges do this because we went to like a weird like Christian college. It's very small. So like when we how we met is like when we first went to college there, they would like put you in these like they call it like start teams. Basically just they do little fun games with different groups of like same age kids or like college age students and to get
Okay.
to learn people's names, and make friends and that sort of thing. So we became friends through that. That's how we met. We lived in the same building and then we both played basketball and kind of had the same interests. It's so weird because like back then, like we talked about the paranormal a little bit, but it
Uh,
wasn't like a huge like I remember we talked about Bigfoot a little bit here and there or like Nessie and stuff like that. But like this is like also before like ghost hunters and you know what I mean? So it's like really at the beginning stage, like even at that point,
yeah.
early 2000s, like people still had the stigma of like, oh, paranormal, oh, that's not like real, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just a
You're
stigma
crazy. You're
against it.
crazy.
Oh, right, dude, and that's how it was for a long time. It wasn't until I would say ghost hunters, maybe like some of the more serious ghost shows kind of like gave some credibility to like, oh, this is like a real thing that can happen and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's so funny you bring that up, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
what he said. That's what he said
yep,
in the live. He was like, he's in the beginning intro of the show, and he goes,
I
"But we go
am,
back
yeah.
way further than that." He's like, "We go
Yeah.
back way further than that." And he started telling me about that, so
Yeah, it's so weird hearing the intro. You know what? I think it's just one of those things, like, if you were in the intro or something, if it was you, you would probably skip it too. Every time I get to that part, I always try to, like, avoid hearing myself. I'm just like, I don't know,
yeah,
but
that's one of the worst things about editing is that I have to continuously hear my
yeah.
voice over and over again.
Dude, I have the same feeling when I edit my videos,
Yeah.
or, like, you hear yourself say something and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so stupid," or, like, you just because everyone makes mistakes or says something stupid or says something wrong. You
Yeah.
mispronounce something or, so, but
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes it's like I got marbles in my mouth and I can't speak right.
You know how many times I've had to redo, like, takes of just, like, simple introductions of a video while I'm out somewhere? Ugh.
I've done
Sometimes
that on
you
a
get
few
that
shows
bug.
with I've had a
Oh.
few shows with guests, and I'll start off the show, and then I'll just forget what I'm gonna say, and I'm going, "We're just gonna start all over." So,
Alright, take 4.
yeah, but other than that,
Uh,
how was, like, the holidays? Did you
mhm.
party on New Year's, or did you just knock out like most
Um
people did?
Yeah, like, so New Year's is either, like, hit or miss. Either we have something going on and we go out somewhere and we stay out, or we're at home and we're doing nothing and we either don't make it or maybe we may make it. So this past year, we didn't have any plans. We didn't wanna do anything. So we just hung around the house. We actually did stay up till, midnight, actually, like, till 12:30. I was it was one of those ones where it's just like I couldn't believe I was staying up so late. I ended up it was like
Yeah.
12:30 at night. It's already New Year's. we're not celebrating. I'm just sitting on the couch and I'm looking at like work uniforms and I'm like, oh man, I was like, should I buy my own like work uniforms? And I'm like almost about to buy it. I'm like, dude, it's like 12:03 at night. Why don't you like sleep on television? I'm just like, just like some how that works out sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, holidays were great. Just spending time with family and pretty low key. Didn't went to my mom's for Christmas and had some people over for Christmas Eve like we usually do. So
Okay,
it was a good time. Well, what about you? What do you guys do?
well, her parents now live I point to the clown like that's her.
So that's a
But
sort of hidden reference, is it?
yeah, no. I do call her clown all the time, but no.
Oh, I love it.
Uh, but, Tater Tate, the one that everybody likes to have me spook on the show.
Mhm.
We went to her parents, they live now 30 minutes away, they moved from New York, so now they live 30 minutes
Oh,
away, so
wow, very cool.
we went over there, after, like, it dropped to, like, -10 degrees out here, um,
Brutal.
and then we just stayed at home on Christmas Day, and then at night, we went to go look at, like, Christmas lights, like what most poor people do, they go look at the rich people's houses covered in lights, um, and then we ended up finding a dog.
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was just roaming around, she was blind and deaf,
Ah, poor
um,
thing. Goodness
yeah, she was just
gracious.
walking in the middle of the street, and cars were just driving around her,
Mhm.
and I was like, I can't leave
Yeah.
her."
No, good for you. That's good for you for stopping, dude.
Yeah,
Because like I
I
said,
was up
most
until
people just drive
midnight,
around.
so
Yeah, yeah, that's wild.
yeah, because
So
I was
random.
just trying to take her to the vet to get, like, a microchip
Mhm. Oh,
scanned.
yeah, right, right. Just to see, like, if you could find her owner,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she didn't have a chip, um, and then she was just panting all night, and I was like, "Okay, I don't know if this dog is in pain or if it's just
Mhm.
an anxious dog." So I went back to the vet at, like, 11:30 at night and was there until, like, 1, and then the next morning, I ended up finding the owner, so
Oh, good, good. I'm
yeah,
sure
but
they were relieved because dude, that poor dog, so you said it was -10?
yeah, it was really
Oof,
cold.
dude, yeah, that dog would have been dead.
The roads were just ice, so
Yeah.
she's already really old, apparently the owner told me she was 15 years old, the
Oh,
dog,
wow.
so she's
Jeepers.
slipping on ice as she's trying to walk,
Right,
uh,
right.
but thankfully, yeah,
Poor
so that's how I
thing.
spent my Christmas.
No,
Um,
that's good. A good Samaritan,
yeah,
that's good though. That's cool though. I mean, hey, you saved that dog's life.
yeah,
Literally, so
I was very tired the next day, but it's fine.
yeah, yeah. It makes for a great story,
Yeah,
A heartwarming story on Christmas, A
yeah,
Christmas miracle,
there you go, there you
you
go.
know?
But yeah, that was about it. Why don't we jump into what you have to share? I know you got lots of stories to share. I don't know if you want to share the EVPs first or save that for like the cherry on top at the end.
Um, we can do that last if you want.
Yeah, we can do that
Yeah,
however you
that's
want.
cool.
You're running. You're taking um, control of the ship here from now
Alright, I
on.
love it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Actually, so I'll share a weird thing that just happened, like, probably, man, probably like 4 months ago. So, like, I was where I work, it's like there's like a couple different like stalls, not stalls, but like it's a one long building and there's units inside the building. So my company where I work, I do fire extinguisher inspections, so
Okay.
we take up like 2 units or whatever. So we have like the front is an office, the back is like a warehouse kind of deal, and out back is where like, all the guys will drive out back, load up their extinguishers, drop off stuff, load stuff up, all that kind of stuff. So on this particular day, I've already loaded up. I'm like sitting there kind of like parallel. Like, so if I look out my right hand side window, I'm driving in my truck. If I look out my right hand side window, I see the building you know, and then right in front of me is just like open road and then the road that leads out to like go to the street.
Okay.
So I'm just like sitting there, just kind of looking forward because I'm waiting for like a trainee, and I'm just waiting for him to arrive so we can head out. And so when I just like, and it was so weird because it happened so fast, and in a matter of an instant, everything was back to normal. But it was as if I saw like, uh, I want to say it wasn't a shadow of a person; it was like a person like standing there with like a hood up, like a hoodie on, hood up, a male, standing there, like, looking towards my direction.
Very normal, kind of like
Yeah,
besides it
yep.
being a shadow.
Besides being like, it was like, it was so hard to explain because it was so fast. It was like a kind of shadow, but you could see, like, I could see, like, it was a gray sweatshirt. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? Like, I could see it was like a, and it was also early morning too, so, like, it's not, like, fully bright out. I would say it's kinda grayish out anyway. Like, the sun started, it hasn't quite co it's, like, just about to come up. So it's not, like, the brightest it can be out, so, like, it's not dark, but you know what I'm saying? Kinda like that dusk period, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of, and so it was just, literally, I saw him there for a second and then just, like, just, like, faded out real quick, just, like,
Mhm.
boom, there, and then gone. Um, just a weird, random, experience, and that was, like I said, like, 4 months ago or so. I think it was, like, springtime, maybe even a little bit shorter than that, but just a random experience,
Yeah, it
you know?
sounds pretty random. Like it
Yeah.
there was nothing to really prompt it. It was just something
No,
that happened.
no, and nothing happened after either.
Yeah,
It's not like, it was a series of events that led to something else. It was just like, there's, you know, there's someone just there, and there's now he's gone.
that's
It's
pretty
just,
cool though.
yeah, weird. Yeah, it didn't, like, spook me necessarily. It was just one of those things I was like, "That's so random." It's weird, I just didn't
Yeah.
expect it to.
Those are
Um,
probably the best kind of moments though. Like, yeah.
yeah, oh, for sure. For sure. Speaking of moments like that, I didn't pull this clip, but I did a abandoned house, a month ago? So, I specifically only wanted to do just, like, an explore of abandoned house because I do like abandoned houses and exploring and that kinda stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to take a break from, like, paranormal videos. Number 1, because paranormal videos, I mean, it's just a lot of work. So, like, listening for the EVPs and going through all the extra footage, because it's not only, like, the editing part of the regular video, it's like, you gotta listen to all this other stuff, and then if you have clips, you gotta put that in, it's a whole process.
Yeah, plus, like, going into areas where there is, like, paranormal, like, activity is kind of like a heavy thing to kind of
For to
constantly put yourself into.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
So once in a while, you just need to be like, "Alright, let me take a break." So that was my intent. I wanted to take a break, just do, like, an abandoned house. So I got a tip on this place, and so I go there, and, the whole time, everything was great, everything was cool, it was a great explore, didn't have any, like, bad vibes there at all. And then so I get home, and I'm, like, editing the footage together, and I caught 3 EVPs in the footage.
Wow.
Mind you, I didn't ask any questions, I didn't, like, do any EVP sessions, I just literally went around, was, like, looking at stuff, filmed the house, and, one of them was in the basement, and it said, "I see you," in, like, a deep, raspy voice, man, and, I
Oh,
mean,
so saying "I see you" in, like, the creepiest way possible that you can say
yeah.
it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and just, like, the strangest kind of a voice,
yeah.
it's not like maybe the guy smokes cigarettes or, um, I don't know, hard to tell, but, and then upstairs, I got this other EVP of somebody whispering, and they literally said, "Something good," just like a random, like, it was kind of almost like, because it was one of those ones where after I was done walking around doing my thing, I was, like, taking little, like, I would say artistic shots to kinda put together for an intro and outro kinda thing,
uh
and so I literally I'm recording, I turn it off, I walk maybe 10 feet, I kneel down, turn it back on to record, and that's when I catch it. So it's like, if I would've just had it on the whole time and just, like, who knows what else it said before in that time period, like, it could have said something else.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so just like, yeah, it's just so, like I said, random, it's just like,
Not there for the paranormal, like
no, and then it just, like, finds you, or just, like,
yeah,
you happen to just, like, catch it, it's just like, but then again, like, when I think about stuff like that, I was talking to my buddy about this, with, like, abandoned houses particularly. I mean, obviously, there's, like, normal reasons why houses are abandoned, like,
yeah.
people are elderly, they don't have any family, it goes into foreclosure, the bank owns it, the bank doesn't do anything with it, and then it gets to a point where it's in such disrepair that they can't sell it, or who knows what the market is in the area where it is as well, that plays a big part into
It's
it.
not worth it for, like, the city to break it like, knock it down
Right,
or anything
that
like that.
too, that it gets to that point, and so they don't wanna have anything to do with it either, and so it then becomes kinda like one of those things. But I think there's also another reason. I think it's because sometimes these places are haunted, and it becomes to a point where people, maybe a couple owners don't know how to deal with it or didn't want to deal with it, and just, like, left, because that's, like, the 2nd abandoned home I've been to where I've caught, like, EVPs not trying to, um, catch EVPs, and the 2nd one that the first one I ever went to where I caught an EVP, I went back there. I haven't edited the footage yet, but it'll be coming out this next month. So I'm interested to see what we catch there, you know what I mean? Because the
Yeah,
first time I was there, it was the same situation. Just there to do and explore, and then here I am catching EVPs, so and it also got me. I wanna hear your thoughts on this too, because it got me thinking about, like, EVPs. Like, 'cause for a long time, they're like, "Oh, you gotta do an EVP session, you gotta make sure you start the session, end the session, all that stuff." I feel like I've caught just as many EVPs, like, walking around not doing specifically an
just
EVP
being
session.
natural in the area, like,
Yes, yes, and just as many as doing an EVP session, sometimes more, because sometimes I feel like you catch them off guard sometimes.
yeah, or it might be a sense of like, like when for people who have like social anxiety, like if somebody
Mhm.
starts to talk to them, they close off.
Sure.
It could be like that type of thing, like
Yeah,
they're
that's true,
scared.
because you gotta remember too, you're right, because these are people. So if they were an anxious person in real life, they're probably gonna be anxious in the afterlife or apprehensive, or you know what I mean, all those different personality traits.
Or if the place has been abandoned for a while, it's like, "Oh, like,
They
shit,
haven't talked to
somebody's here."
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think it's just interesting, I was thinking about that,
Yeah,
and
that
just,
is
you
that is
know
super interesting.
yeah, I just don't understand why the reason is, or, it's just strange.
Yeah, I don't think when it comes to paranormal occurrences, like, I don't think there's gonna be any way we truly understand how something in that kind of realm works. Like,
No, no, because as soon as you think you're like, "Okay, yeah, I got a grasp," you're like, "Okay," it's just like then you catch something else, you're like, "Well, I don't know what that is," I don't know how to
yeah,
explain that, or like, there's just so many it's funny because it's like most of it, even when I catch an EVP, it's just like most of it's still unexplainable. I still can't tell the viewer who's watching my video, like, what exactly has happened here and why this
yeah.
ghost is saying why I caught this EVP, and why, like, then that's what we're all searching for, is like the why. Why is even this, how is it happening? Why is it happening?
Yeah, sometimes
Um,
I get you it's like, for a paranormal investigator or somebody who's just going out to just catch content in that kind of manner, not necessarily investigator, but I feel like, when I did my things of investigating my haunted objects, um, when I heard something, I didn't wanna put, "This is what it sounds like to me," because then I think, "Oh, definitely people are gonna hear it when they see, it typed out onto the screen," but then it's like, "But this is what I've heard. Like, this is the thing that I heard.
mhm,
Maybe they
mhm.
won't hear it, maybe they
Yeah,
will, like,
yeah.
without me doing it." It's like a you don't wanna put something in somebody's head because you want them to genuinely feel the same way that you feel about this
When
exact
you heard it the
yeah,
first time you heard it. Yeah,
yeah,
no, exactly, because you wanna feel validated that you're like, "Yes, I've caught what I think I've caught."
yeah,
I mean, because like, especially if because you've probably done enough, like, investigating on your own to know, like, when you're in, like, a creepy place, or when you feel like you're like, "Oh, man, something's definitely gonna happen tonight. We're gonna catch
yeah.
something." You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're in those kind of situations and stuff, it's like, yeah, I don't know, it can be, like, overwhelming a little bit, in a way, but I don't know, if you're a person that's, like, into it, and, like, I don't know, I don't find it that scary, but I will say, even my last video, I did get scared a couple
Yeah,
times,
over here
so.
not last night, maybe it was 2 nights ago,
Mhm.
um, I'm just sitting on the couch, it's probably 10 o'clock, and I'm just playing games, just kinda close out the night by playing games, and then I hear, like, the loudest bang coming from our bedroom, and so much so that I heard it, and you kind of feel, like, the ground shake when it's, like, a really like, if something fell really big, and even the cats woke up. They were asleep, and they stared down the hall to our bedroom, and Tater was asleep in the bedroom. I go in there, and she's knocked out asleep, and I wake her up, and I go, "Are you okay?" And then she's like, "What?" And I was like, "There was a loud bang. Did something fall in here or anything like that?" She's like, "I didn't hear anything." I didn't hear anything at all.
Yeah,
And
that's so weird.
I was just like, okay, maybe it was the downstairs, but like, I don't know why I would feel the ground shake from something falling from the people downstairs below us.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, it was
Yeah,
really weird. And I like rushed over there because I thought either she fell trying to get up to go to the bathroom or something like that.
right.
So I just rushed over. But yeah, she was just knocked out and nothing had fallen. I checked everywhere. I went into the
Mhm.
closet to check if something fell in the closet. I checked the bathrooms everywhere and nothing fell.
How long ago was this?
2 nights ago?
You know what's really weird that you say that?
What?
I was at my, fiance's mom's house, God, maybe like a week ago, and we were playing cards downstairs, and the same thing happened where it was like this huge loud noise upstairs, but no one's up there, and only me and her mom heard it, and maybe Nicole heard it, I can't remember, but the other sister didn't even hear it, and I'm like, "No, that was like a loud bang, something like fell."
Yeah.
So I go up there, nothing's amiss. Like,
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
nothing's out of place. There's nothing like the cat, like, there was a cat up there, so I was like, "Maybe the cat knocked something over." He was asleep on the bed, fine. I literally checked every single room just to, like, make sure because I know I heard something. So I
Yeah,
was like,
that's what I did.
Something fell,
Yeah.
something made noise." You know what I mean? "What do you mean, like, there's nothing?" Dude, nothing was out of place. It was so weird. I don't know what to make of that, but dude, same situation.
Yeah, it
So
was
kinda
crazy
tell
because
me,
the cats did react. They both sat up and, like, looked over like
what's
I
that?
heard too.
Yeah.
And it only happens, like, down there, like, down by the bedroom. Because 'Cause
Now
I've had a
you've
moments where I close the door to walk into the bedroom, and then I hear, like, a slam against the door, and I think it's the cats, like, jumping
mm,
at the door,
right.
but they're in the living room away from me, so I don't know what like
Now, is this the closet and where near that closet where you had, like, noises? Is this that same room that you told me about last time?
oh, yeah, that she's always hearing things.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that part of the house, wow.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know what it is.
Yeah, let's just
She says it's the ghost that lives here, so
okay, well, we don't wanna start another paranormal
yeah.
investigation. Actually, you know what? That'd be pretty amazing, like, one of these times, so it's a live investigation
Yeah, that
from your
would
home.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, it's just one of those things like you had, like an unexpected kind of
Random,
yeah.
and just, like, no
Yeah, because there's
reason, no
nothing leading
rhyme,
up to it. It's just
nothing
something
nothing
happens.
happened after either, both of those things. So, I have another weird thing that happened a couple actually weird things that happened at work. So this is, like, probably 5 years ago. Early morning, real quick story. Early morning, I had to go to Martha's Vineyard, which is an island off of Massachusetts, so in order to go to that island, you have to leave for the ferry, like, really early, so you have to
Very
be
fancy, right?
Oh, yes, very
Yeah,
yeah, both of the islands are, Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, a lot of money, mansions, just everything out there costs more money, it's just so
yeah.
so it's, like, good to work out there because we get paid well. So anyway, you have to, like, leave for the ferry, like, you have to be there for, like, 6. So I was at the shop, the shop's, like, 40 minutes away from where the ferry takes off. So I was at the shop early at 4:30 in the morning, loading up extinguishers out back where I was describing before. There's, like, a little porch thing there where we can load extinguishers from our like, a little hallway that we have access to
Uh,
at early morning, and so, I'm doing my thing, I'm just about to finish, and, inside the shop mind you, this is 4:30 in the morning, there's no one in the shop, not supposed to be anybody in the shop. So, we also at my work, we do, like, hood installations, like, ventilation for hood, kitchen, and
okay,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Those
Goes
big
over the
Yep,
stove?
yep,
Okay.
exactly, those things, massive, huge things. And so I hear inside the shop like 2 or 3 of these things banging and smashing into each other and moving around and like doing all this stuff. Like, and mind you, some of these things are like 10 feet long and like you couldn't move it by yourself. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
could maybe push them and make that noise. But the noise I heard was like loud and like out of nowhere. It was like bang, bang, crash, bang, bang, bang. And then all of a sudden, boom, silent. Nothing at all. And so I was like, all right, I'm out of here.
yeah,
Boom, and then so I left and, um, that's that, but weird, random, weird, and, just a strange experience.
yeah, you're just like, "Why are you making such loud noise?" You said it was like 4 in the morning? You're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I was"
4:30 in the morning, I'm like and inexplicably too,
Yeah,
And so, one more story about work, so another time I went there, 6:30 in the morning or so, In the shop, when you walk in, like there's two like bay doors that roll up, right?
Hmm.
So one of them has like a rampway that you can walk up, and then that you could. So we have a little code we can get into the shop that way. So I access it and get in there. I walk in, and up above there's like this old school, like megaphones.
Okay, yeah,
You know what it looks like? So it's
yeah,
one of those, but it's up top, like way up top. And mind you, this thing is not plugged in. We don't use it. We've never used it. It's like something that's just was there, and it's not. I don't think it has power. So I walk into like the shop, and it starts like making noise, like feedback noise, like it's powering up or trying to say something. I'm like literally like look up at it, and like I've never heard this thing make noise ever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And given the other things I've heard at the shop, at this point, I'm like, all right, well, there's like something paranormal going on in the shop.
yeah,
I have no idea what, but and the person I saw too, like later on too, I'm like, this place is just weird and haunted, I guess.
yeah. You should get paranormal pay.
I hazard pay, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Or at least do a video at my shop.
yeah,
But yeah, those are like my like quick little like work stories. That the one that happened recently, which triggered the other memories of those other things that happened. But yeah, just quick little short stories. So let's see what I want to get into next. So I did share the story like it's probably like 5 years ago on Tony's podcast, The Confessionals. So if you want, I can retell it in a better way the first time because
yeah,
the first time, because it's one of those stories that like, look, you don't really tell this story a lot because you don't want to like tell it to everybody because like
yeah.
if
No, I get
someone
you.
doesn't know you, they're just gonna be like, oh, this person's just like making it up. They're
Yeah,
obviously seen too many movies like The Conjuring or something, blah blah blah. So this happened in 2010, 11, 2011. This happened. So at this point in my life, I had just moved back from Pennsylvania. I was living in Pennsylvania for a while. I had moved back. Been living in Massachusetts for a little while, and kind of living with my dad and a couple roommates. And so I'm going to change the name of the people in the story just in case they ever listen to this. That way they don't feel embarrassed or
yeah.
they don't want their name out there or whatever. So
Understandable.
guy A, we're going to name him Tony in honor of
Okay.
Tony. And the other guy we'll name Jack. So
Yeah,
Tony and
yeah.
Jack are the two main characters in that story. Okay,
Tony and Jack.
Tony and Jack, which are the names I gave him when I told the story on Tony's thing. So we'll keep the story the same. So basically, what happened was leading up into this point, until the incident. I'm going to call it an incident for now, until we like get into like what exactly happened. So,
Yeah,
around that time period, there was this synthetic drug going around, and I don't know if you remember. It was called spice. It was like fake marijuana. So
yeah,
basically, it was like kind of like the early stages of people trying to figure out ways to get around marijuana laws, so they
yeah.
would make all this, like, weird stuff that you shouldn't really take. So anyway, yeah, so it was called Spice, so you remember. So, some people might not remember that, but around 2011, 2010, it was, like, rampant. It was pretty much you could pretty much buy it almost anywhere, any kinda, like, cigarette shop and stuff like that. So, Tony and Jack were, kind of buying this stuff and smoking it as like an alternative to smoking pot because pot was more expensive and they weren't making as much money and they wanted to save money, so they're like, oh, this is cheaper, blah blah blah. And so they had smoked it quite a few times. I would say at least 10 to 15 times. No ill effects or any sort of weird things happen, nothing at all.
Yeah.
So um and so leading up to like the incident, so like we're like all hanging out and they're like, oh, we're gonna smoke this spice. I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool, whatever. And so they smoke it, right? Everything's fine. Within a matter of 5 minutes, um Tony starts like, I'm gonna try to describe this best way I can. So they're both sitting like next to each other, right? I'm sitting across the table for them. And he just starts acting weird, like not really saying much, just kind of like kind of moving around like this a little bit, and then he started like just pulling at like Jack's arm, like grabbing onto his arm and like pulling on him, just like this, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" You know what I mean? Like, because I was like, "Are you having like, is this some, like I
Crazy
said,
side effect or something like
right?"
that.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah. So like I said, they smoked it many times before. So this is never nothing like this has ever happened before. So at this point, I'm just like feeling kind of uncomfortable because I'm like, I was like, I don't know, this is just getting weird. So I'm like, all right, let me like, I'm gonna leave the room. I'm gonna get a glass of water, and kind of like just leave the room just because I'm feeling weird. And so I leave the room, and honestly, my heart like starts racing, like as fast as it's ever raced before. And I was like, what is wrong? I was like, why am I feeling like this? I was like, this is weird. This is weird. So like, I just like drank a glass of water, and by the time I drank the whole water and I like go to put it down, I hear now I'm in the kitchen, so I've left the room. They're in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because at this point we used to like we were roommates, so we like shared a bedroom together, and we were used to. It was a big enough bedroom where our beds were in there, hanging out, and you know, playing music, and they're smoking spice and whatever, drinking beers, and doing the 26-year-old things
Yeah.
just hanging out. And so I'm in the other room. I'm in the kitchen, a room away. So I can't see what's going on. I can just hear, I can hear them, all of a sudden, it literally sounds like two people are fighting. I can hear Tony writhing in pain, or like, I wouldn't say writhing in pain, but like, okay, when someone like gets hit and they might make a noise like, like those kind of noises,
Yeah.
like he's getting beat up or punched, and he's like, and
Definitely a fight is happening from what you can hear.
100%.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and people, they're going at it. That's what it sounds like. Furniture's moving, like it's loud. Like this is like a dirty, good, crazy fight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is going on? So I slowly walk into the room. And so from the kitchen, I go to the kitchen. It's like the living room in front of me. I take a right, and I take another right, and the door to our bedroom's like right there. So I stand in the door frame of the bedroom, and in front of me is Jack, who was, they both smoked spice, but Jack was the one that was getting his arm pulled, who was normal, talking to me and everything. He was fine. When I left the room, Jack was fine. Tony was the one that was acting weird.
Yeah.
So Jack is literally, there was like two beds. Our beds are like in front. So like when you walk into the room, you'd see the beds in the far wall. So he's facing the bed on his knees, and with his face down, arms down flat on the bed like this, not moving. I called out to him 5 to 6 times, you know, like, Jack, 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 like nothing. Didn't move, didn't respond to me, didn't say anything, didn't move.
Hmm.
So then I turned my attention to Tony, who's on the other side of the room. So as I look to the left-hand side of the room, the table where we were sitting at is all turned over, like it's been flipped over, smashed around, whatever.
Yeah.
The chairs are the same way. And Tony is on his knees looking at me with blood on his face, right? And at this point, I'm like, I literally say, "What the F is going on?" And I literally say it like probably 7 times, and more frantic as time as every
Every time
thing,
you say it,
because I'm thinking, "Did you just kill this guy?"
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you're in
I'm
full panic mode at this
oh,
point.
at 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking, I'm just like, "What happened? Did you guys get in a fight?" And then he just starts laughing at me. And then he takes the blood, it starts like wiping it all over his face like this, right? And saying, "Oops, oops, oops," like that, right? And I can't even believe I can't believe the story, because it's just, I know it happened to me because I was there.
Yeah.
So he also, at this point, when he is saying oops and talking to me, this isn't the Tony I know. This
Yeah.
isn't this isn't the voice I know. This is like a deep, raspy voice I've never heard him talk in. I hate to say snake-like voice,
Mhm.
right? And so at this point, because before this point, I grew up like in the church and stuff, and so I have seen something like this before once, and it's very rare, and it usually hardly ever happens, but I've seen it before. So like I know what the signs are, stuff like that. So like I see him, and I'm like, this is not good. And so he's saying, "Oops," he's got the blood on his face. He then proceeds to slither on the ground like a snake over to like in front of me, stands up like he's never stood up before, like he's stammering, like trying to stand up,
Yeah.
and then starts walking towards me. And then so I start calling out his name. I'm like, I almost said his real name. Sorry.
It happened.
Yeah, Tony, 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 please don't do this. I was like, please stop, please stop. I was like, please stop. And so like because I never even entered the room. I'm just like still standing like in the doorway because I'm like,
You were afraid to enter the room fully,
oh, yeah,
right?
dude, I didn't even wanna go in there, you know what I mean? So he's coming towards me, I'm backing up, backing up. I'm like, "Tony, please, please." So I'm now backed up or out of the living room into the kitchen, and so there's, like, a little and so, like, I just, like at that point, I just stop. I'm like, "Please stop, stop." And so then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just lunges at me, like, faster than I've ever seen anyone lunge in my life, so much so that when he hit me, we both went up into the air, like, parallel, and somehow, some way, I think it was an angel or God or something because I don't know how, I ended up because he was on top of me.
Mhm.
I ended up on top of him on the ground, like,
And
so
during, like,
during
the talk?
yes! So when he came at me, somehow, some way, I was able to, like, flip him over onto the ground, I land on top of him, and then literally as soon as he hits the ground, he's, like, kind of, like, incapacitated. Like, his eyes are closed, he's breathing, but he's also, like, hissing and breathing at the same time and sort of, like but non-responsive, his eyes are closed. At this point, I'm like, "That's fine." Like, I would prefer if he just, like, laid there and kinda, like, maybe, like, came to or something. So, at that point, I leave him because I'm like, "Alright, I'm not gonna try to, like, wake him up or anything, I'm just gonna, like, leave him there because I need to check on Jack because what the hell's going on with him? Is he even
Yeah,
okay?" You know
because
what I
he
mean?
was
So
fine, you said, right?
he was fine. He
Yeah.
was fine. So literally, I go into the other room. He's still in the same position, face down. I put my hand on his shoulder and say his name, Jack. Boom. He woke up immediately. He was confused as hell, like really confused. Like he was like, "What happened? I don't understand what happened. The last thing I remember, we were both sitting there. You got up, and then that's the last thing I remembered." Like he kept on saying that, like over and over.
So now he's in panic mode, like
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
because he's like, what do you?" And so, like, and then I'm trying, and then you gotta imagine me trying to describe what just happened to
yeah,
him, and then trying to tell him, "Yeah, I think like there might be an entity attached to him or something. Something
yeah.
dark is around him right now, or trying to take him over or something. Like something's not right, you know." And trying to tell him that, and so it took maybe 10, 15 minutes for him to even just to get him normal to like talk to me normal. And so then after I get him kind of like on board to be like, well, what's what happened? He goes in the other room and tries to like um talk to Tony. And so he wakes up Tony and he's sort of like almost kind of coming back to normal. Like he's there at points and then boom, he goes back in kind of thing. So like he kept on doing this thing where like I said, making the hissing noises and stuff, and then he finally would come out of it, and then we got him enough to come back enough where it was mostly him, and we get him into the bathroom, and we're like, because he's bloody, dude. He's got
Yeah.
blood on. He like cut himself somehow, blah blah blah. So
Oh, so it wasn't, Jack's blood.
no, it was his blood.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry,
okay.
I forgot to tell. Yeah, so it was somehow. I'll get to why he has blood. So we're trying to get him cleaned up. He drinks like he drank water for like 5 minutes. I've never seen somebody drink water, like, so ravenously before. I don't that's not maybe paranormal related, it's just odd.
Like if he got out of the desert, like, you just pulled him out
Yes.
of the desert, he's
Yeah.
just taking water.
Yeah, yep, and so he was doing this thing where he saw his cut on his forehead, he was like, "Oh, oh," and then all of a sudden, boom, he go back into it, and dude, he would say things like, in this graspy, weird voice that he's never used before, "I'm in control now, you're weak, you're nothing, you're nothing to me." You're just like, dude, things you don't wanna be hearing,
Yeah,
when this something like that's happened, you
yeah.
know? So so, he finally comes to enough, and so I'm like, "Hey, like, do you remember what happened? And so basically what he described to me at the time is like they were in there, everything was fine. I leave the room, and he said it felt like somebody was beating him up, but he couldn't see who it was.
Mm.
Beating Tony up, that is.
Yeah.
So something, an unseen force, beat him up, and that's why he was bloody and all that stuff. Threw him around the room. I guess enough, and incapacitated him enough to try to, for at least temporarily, try to take over him for a short amount of time. Um, Now, I think obviously this is probably something that was attached to him previously, or some sort of obviously dark thing that came by for I don't know. I really don't know. But after this event, um, because like I said, I grew up like in the church and stuff. So I was like, I called my uncle because he's a religious guy. Because a previous story that I haven't told before is we had this similar experience where he like called me and was like, "Hey, can you come like pray with this guy for me? He says he's under attack, blah blah blah, or like he's feels like he's has negative things around him, blah blah, like he's getting tortured or like mentally tortured, I should say." And it was kind of a similar situation that like what this story is, not as crazy as this story, but so I knew I've seen him pray and like things leave. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna call him.
Yeah.
So we did. We called him. He prayed for him. He got better and better and better. But I will say that night, dude, because we slept in the same room, I was on edge, dude, because he was literally still doing like when he would breathe, he would breathe in and like breathe out, and there'd be like a hissy nature to his.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happened after that, as far as like another possession or any sort of like thing like that.
Yeah.
But I still to this day cannot believe that that happened. Like, it was just like I said, it was like one of those things that you see in movies, you're like, "Okay, like, maybe, like, a tenth of this could, like, really happen in real life," but, like, as far as that night and that stuff, I know he was on spice and stuff. See, like, my theory on it is that I think when he smoked it, it made his mind weak or put him into a state
Yeah.
where made him vulnerable to whatever it is that was there that night, whether that thing attached to himself before or was falling, whatever, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, one of the craziest stories. That's the craziest thing I've ever like seen with like my own eyes, as far as like in front of me.
Yeah. No, that sounds it. The first thing that popped into my mind was just what you said. Like he had made his mind weak by taking in a substance that like probably shouldn't be in the body.
Yeah,
Um, but what I also thought about is when you were saying that he like slithered over, and then it was like really hard for him to stand up, like he's never stood up before. It almost sounds like whatever uh like took him over in that moment was kind of like the form of a snake. Like
hmm,
because if a snake wouldn't know how to stand up, you
yeah,
know? So
right, right,
I was
and
like,
that's it.
"Oh, it is a snake."
Yeah, right, right. It's like it's as if it's never had legs before,
Yeah,
That yeah, yeah. No, I that's exactly that's yeah. No, that's exactly what I thought. Like after processing the story and thinking about it and thinking about it. Like, that's one of the things I thought about, because he literally was, like, stammering, like, that's exactly what it seemed like. It was like, how babies or toddlers, when they try to walk for the first time, they can stand up, and then they'll fall down on their
yeah,
butt, and just like that, and, like, and even when he was walking towards me, he was very stammered, you
yeah.
know?
That would have freaked me the hell out.
Yeah, and like I said, dude, I don't know how I flipped him over. I don't like, I mean, because at the time, I mean, I go to the gym nowadays, but back then, 10 years ago, I was just like skinny, like
Yeah,
like skinny mini. So like I didn't have any like muscle tone, and he was like a gym guy and stuff, and at the time, definitely stronger than me.
yeah. So you were like, "I'm gonna stay where I can exit immediately."
Yeah, dude, you don't understand the level of fear that I felt when I walked into that room, because like honestly, my first thought was that he killed him. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
no,
mean? Like.
I would imagine if you saw somebody covered in blood and then the next person is just, like, out on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's yeah, man. Yeah, but like I said, wild story, man.
yeah, that is
If
wild.
dude, yeah, if you want, I can tell the other story. It's not as like crazy as that one.
Yeah, yeah, of course, you can.
So I've never told this story before, on any sort of podcast or anything. So it's Induced Fear exclusive.
Sweet.
So this is even longer ago. This is when I was like fresh out of high school. This is like when I was 19 years old. So this is like 2003, so this is a long time ago. So that same uncle who prayed over Tony, he used to have like a little Bible study in his home every week or whatever. And so back in those days, my mom we used to always go to church every single Sunday. And so, so we used to always be doing church stuff. So
Uh-huh.
if my uncle had a Bible study going on, you better believe it, we were probably at his Bible study. So so we were there at his Bible study. It was fine. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but so just just kind of how I grew up,
Yeah.
So we're at his Bible study. There's this new couple that comes. They just started going to church. It's a husband and wife. The husband's from England. The wife's from America. They just had a baby together. Really nice. And they wanted to come to Bible study. So my uncle's doing his Bible study thing, doing reading verses, doing this, bringing up points. I don't even remember the subject of the Bible story or any of the things that you talked about. But this guy, the husband that they wanted to come to church and stuff, he kept on like you could tell he wanted to be there, but every 10 minutes, 8 minutes, he'd have to like get up and leave the room.
Hmm.
And he'd like leave the room, go like far enough away, and then a couple minutes later he'd come back and he'd be intently listening, and then he'd like drift away and kind of be walking around and kind of like uncomfortable. And so even at the time, I didn't know this guy. Even I noticed it at 19 years old. I was like, oh, that's kind of odd. I was like, I wonder why he's like acting like that. So Bible study ends. We all go home, and this is like right before Thanksgiving or day after Thanksgiving, maybe I can't remember. It's like Thanksgiving break time period. So all out of the blue, my uncle calls me, and he's like, hey, that guy that was at my Bible study called me, and he said that he feels like he's on like under like a spiritual attack, and he thinks things are coming after him, and he wanted to be at the Bible study, but it was being made feel uncomfortable, and just a lot of like bad things.
Yeah.
Like it just thinks that he knew something was after him or something. And he thought it was something demonic or something. That's what his words were.
Hmm.
And so my uncle's like, hey, do you want to come with me? You want to like help me? And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. I'll pray with you. You know what I mean? Well, because I didn't at the time. I think he didn't, because the guy wasn't like a Christian at the time, so he was like new. So I don't even think he even said like demonic. I just think he was like, oh, I'm not feeling well, and that kind of thing. And my uncle kind of felt like, oh, I think there's more going on here. So he's like, I want to go with a couple people.
Yeah,
And
with the way that he was acting earlier.
yes,
Yes.
right. So he's like, you know what? Just in case, let me ask a couple people to go. Just in case things get out of hand.
Yeah.
Whatever. We need more people to pray or whatever. So we, a couple people. I think he asked a couple other people, and no one else could go. So he called me, and so me and my uncle and my aunt, we go over there. We go to the apartment. The wife is there and the husband, and he basically describes what I just told you. He's like, yeah, I've been like just feeling like something's in me, and I just like trying to like take over me, or like just the typical things you would hear,
Yeah.
and like possession things, and just like I wanted to be there during the thing, and every time he kept on reading a Bible verse, it just made me angry, and I had to leave the room, and I'm like, why am I feeling angry? I don't understand. And so like that kind of
Because
stuff.
he wasn't really religious, you said. So
No, not at all. Not religious at all. And so this is like his first, ever time going to church or even hearing anything like that. And so he's like, yeah, I just feel like there's, something that's evil on me or something, whatever. And so he's like, all right, my uncle's like, all right, we'll start praying. My uncle starts praying for him. And then just like out of nowhere, like this thing comes out of him. Not physically, like I didn't see anything, but like it came front, like it took over. And I'm gonna describe this guy to you. So this guy was um, like when I say one of the skinniest guys I've ever seen, like the super, super skinny guys where you're like, man, I feel bad for this guy. Like he has like no, like
just skin and bones. Type of
skin
thing.
and bones.
Yeah.
So this guy was this guy. His skin and bones, maybe 5'10", maybe 5'11". Not a big guy. Like even me at 19 years old, like I could hold him down
Yeah.
easy, or like. So as my uncle's praying for him, he starts to like freak out and get angry and start yelling, and and like, moving his arms around, like trying to get violent. And my uncle like looks at me and he just says, "Help me." And I was like, "Oh my!" At this point, I'm just like, "All right, well, I'm not gonna help you, so God's gonna have to help you." So, so I start like praying like feverishly as hard as I can, like, please God, help, please.
Yeah.
And so, there's like a futon in the room, a wooden futon, and not like the metal thin ones, like an actual pretty hefty. I would say, if I would give a weight on it, I would say, I don't know, probably it was hefty. It was like a 75 pound,
A fancy futon.
a fancy futon. But because reason why I say that is because I tried to. Okay, so I'll just tell you what happened. So, as he's praying for him, he's freaking out. He's yelling. He's going spastic and spitting all this like crazy, and saying stuff. And I don't remember like particulars about what he was saying, but it was like the typical things that you would think something that negative would say. Like, I'm taking over, or like insults and stuff like that. And so anyway, he literally takes one hand, and I know this wasn't this guy because this guy's skinny mini, man. There's no way
Yeah.
this guy could have done this. He literally takes the futon and picks it up one-handed, up like this into the air, right? As my uncle's like, has his hand like on his chest trying to pray for him, and just like continuing to pray for him. He like picks this futon up by his chest, and then eventually he drops it, and then my uncle, he prays, he keeps on praying, and eventually it starts to get less and less and less. He falls to the ground, and then my uncle just goes, the entity like finally like leaves and casts it out,
Yeah.
and then he like prays for the guy to like, all right, you need to let go of all your unresolved anger, and like he did like kind of more of like a ceremonial type thing. I've been like
The
you
things
like,
that are making him vulnerable. And yeah.
correct. So he like prays for him. It's like by the time this is all done, this is probably like an hour and 45-minute ordeal. And so afterwards, after it's all said and done, the guy's happy, his wife's happy. Of course, his wife was freaking out up until this point. They weren't even in the room because like my uncle Michael's like, "You get the kid out of the room. You guys gotta leave the room," because he was starting to get violent before that point. So yeah, he was like, he was all happy, and yeah, so I picked up the futon just to see like how heavy it was. Heavy. Like, I mean, like I could pick it up two hands and like lift it up off the ground.
There was no way you were gonna lift it one hand.
No. And this guy's skinny mini, man.
Yeah.
And so like I tell these stories not to like glorify like the things that happened in there, but I guess more so like that these people got delivered away from these things, and these
Yeah.
things like left these people.
And these
But
are your
I mean,
experiences.
and
So
these are my experiences. Not only that, but like to encourage other people, if you've had something like this happen to you, you're not crazy. Like, this kind of stuff is rare, but it does happen. And not only that kind of stuff, but like people can be like oppressed without being like possessed.
yeah.
Meaning like things can like be after you as far as like wanting you to not do well. Giving little bad thoughts into your mind, like, oh, like when I don't know, it's just one of those things that can happen.
Yeah.
If you leave yourself vulnerable, just like you said, if you leave yourself vulnerable in certain areas of your life, stuff like that can creep into your mind and affect how you think, and lead you
Yeah,
down
even
like
even if
path
it's not a
of
full on like possession.
possession, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, because if, like I said, if you can be oppressed, you like things. Not to say that like every time you're depressed or every time you're feeling down, it's like a demon or something. But
Yeah.
on the rarest of occasions, that can happen. Where like you leave yourself vulnerable somehow, it attaches itself to you. You don't realize it, and then you start then it starts working on you. So like I said, I just tell those stories just because like to make other people feel that that they're not crazy either, because everyone's been or some people have seen some pretty supernatural things, and this world is full of supernatural things, so they
And I
shouldn't
bet
feel
you felt
afraid.
that way in those moments. Like you felt like, am I
Oh,
going crazy? Like what the hell is going on right now?
dude, yeah, especially, yeah, definitely, of course, and yeah, it's just wild, man.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of at a weird age in the paranormal where people are so keen on like it's not it's not a demon, not everything's a demon, not everything's a demon. So now there's no focus on could it possibly be demonic in some nature? Like
Mhm.
I know not everything's a demon, but you still
But
should
they're out
be
there,
yeah,
yeah.
you still should be aware.
Yep,
Yeah.
that they can be out there. I
Yeah.
mean, there's telltale signs. Like, there's only one place that I've ever been to where I felt like there could have been a demonic presence there, and that's the Freetown State Forest. And the only reason why I say that is, when I went there on the spirit box, I got called a bitch. I told that, when I asked what their name was, they told me, "Why did you care?" You know, so there was just a lot of, like,
Immediately confrontational.
yes, and so it's like, that's sort of like a red flag. I mean, obviously, those could just be irritated people, but
Yeah.
I find it very strange because given the history of that place
Yeah.
and the rich satanic rituals and all the other stuff that's gone happened there, that's the only place that I've ever been to where I've encountered something like that, where
Yeah.
possibly even I'm not even saying that it is there because I didn't have anything, like, crazy happen to me there where it was, like, something on that kind of a level, but, I mean, like I said, I got called a bitch.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just trying to talk. I'm just trying to talk. So,
Literally, I was like, "I think it called me a bitch." Like, "What did I do to you?" You know what I mean?
yeah. That's so mean.
Yeah. "You know what? I'm going home.
Yeah. I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm here for you."
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but those are
Um,
crazy stories. Those were
Dude, yeah. Yeah, and you got an exclusive one too. That other one I've never shared before.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I like exclusives.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, exclusively here, only on Induced Fear.
Yeah.
You have to use that now and then drop.
Yeah, we'll start the show with just that,
I love
exclusively
it.
here on Induced Fear,
Dude, yeah, hell yeah, I love that. I love that.
and then the music will kick in.
Yeah, I love that. It's like a proper, like, radio intro, you
Yeah.
know? Like Art Bell, kinda thing, you know?
Yeah, or I'll add in all those weird sound effects in the beginning right as you're saying it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Did you wanna I don't know if you had any other stories that you wanted to share or if you wanted to
I'm
jump
trying to
in
think if there's any other, I guess I could tell a quick other one. So, at that same house where the
as many as
possession
you want.
at the same house where the possession happened, um, I had something else happen that was weird. 2 different times, but same thing. So, the first time, I was laying down in my bed, just about to fall asleep. I had, a really bad day that day, and so I was particularly mad at somebody, and I was, like, thinking about that person, and I was just like, "Man, I just really don't like this person, like, they're just a awful person, they're mean," and, I literally had and this is in my head, right? And so, literally, I had the thought, "Oh, they could be the Antichrist," right? So I thought that in my head, and as soon as I thought it, I was like, "Phil, you shouldn't say that, man, like, that's he's not the Antichrist, that's mean." As soon as I have that thought of, like, "You shouldn't say that," 2 taps on my left-hand shoulder. I whip around, of course, there's no one there. There's no one in the house but me at the time, and so I literally just, like, turned the TV on, put it on, like, the sleep mode just because I didn't wanna I was just freaked out. I was just
Yeah.
like, "What?" And so fast forward, like, maybe a month or 2 later, I'm in, my kitchen. There's, like, a pantry, and so pantry is just like a closet where food's in it.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know what pantry is, so I'm sure everyone does. I don't know why I explained that. So you open the door, and there's like food in there, but like it's the point in the week or the like where it's like put it this way, it's not Friday. I just didn't go shopping, so there's not a lot in there that I'm like, man, I want this particular thing. So I'm just
Yeah.
like looking at the food, can't find what I want, can't find what I want. 10 minutes go by, literally, and I got my hand like on the shelf. Just, like, looking, like, as if there's gonna be new food in there that hasn't
Yeah.
already been in there, and there's no new food.
We've all done
So yeah. And so, as this is happening, I get yet again, boom, 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 2 taps on my shoulder. I turn around, no one's there. I was just like, "Alright." So I closed the pantry door, went in my room, played some video games, and that was that. And that was the only 2 times that happened where I got
that.
tapped on the shoulder that I know of. Maybe I got tapped on the shoulder in my sleep, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, just weird.
But it definitely felt like a tap on your shoulder, like
Fingers. It felt like 2 fingers, like how it exactly how it would feel if someone tapped you on the shoulder, it felt like that same physical sensation.
yeah, my first, like, genuine paranormal outside of, like, a sleep paralysis type deal,
Mhm.
was a tap on the shoulder. I don't remember what I was watching, it probably was a ghost thing,
Oh,
um
no kidding. Oh
and
god,
I
stop.
kept I kept I was watching something, I don't know if it was, uh, one of those most haunted shows or
Sure.
whatever, and I was like, "Man, I want something like that to happen to me so bad." Even being young, I was just like, "I want something like that to happen so bad so that I know that ghosts are real."
Yeah.
And as soon as I'm thinking that in my head, I feel like the way you felt it, 2 taps
Mhm.
on my shoulder, and it scares me, so I turn around and I go and I immediately go and look behind the couch, just to make sure, like, my brother or whatever wasn't
Sure.
playing a trick on me. And then I look behind the couch, there's nobody there. I look behind the other couch, there's nobody there. I look in the hall, nobody there, and my mom's, like, in her room watching TV too. And I was like, "Okay, uh, I guess I had that happen. Like, I guess that was something
Yeah,
paranormal."
dude,
I
that's
don't know.
crazy. That's wild. See, it's literally the same thing that happened to me. Just random, just the 2 taps, nothing else. No other, like, no voices,
Yeah,
no I mean, of course, at the time, I wasn't recording, so maybe there was an EVP that was there too. I mean, but as far as, audibly, yeah, I didn't hear
yeah.
nothing, just weird. Speaking about dreams, I do have this, like, one weird dream thing that's, like, reoccurred a couple times. That's, I think, a little bit paranormal only because, like, the sensation I feel in the dream is a sensation I felt before when, like, a negative entity was around me when I was, like, on, or just, like, that dark, dark presence, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, like, if you've experienced it before, you know what I'm talking about. So,
An
like,
extreme heaviness.
yes, exactly. Where, like, something's there, it's not good, you can't see it, but you know it's there because you can feel it.
I
You
get
know what
that
I'm saying?
anytime that sleep paralysis is about to happen. So, like,
Bingo.
so
Bingo. So, like, that same feeling, but in a dream.
okay.
So, the dream is always the same. Location may be different, but it's always the same. It's always a building, and it's always, like, a room within inside a building. So, the first time it ever happened, it was, like, this apartment or something in the dream that I was staying at, and I literally walk into this room, and I get that feeling that, like, I was like, "There's something else in here," like, really bad, and this is in my dream that I'm feeling this too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't see anything, I just, like, feel so uncomfortable, and so then I try to go to bed, like, in the dream, I'm, like, trying to go to bed, and I just can't go to bed, I feel so uncomfortable, and then, like, the dream's over, and so this dream has, like, reoccurred a few times. It hasn't happened in a while, but it happened at least, I would say 6 to 7 to 8 times. Different rooms every single time, It wasn't
Mhm.
always the same room, but it was always a room within a house, and it was one of those things where I was always with a couple people at first, and then I ended up being alone, just how it always is, and then that weird feeling, and then just nothing ever happened. I don't see anything,
Yeah.
but it's
But
just
the
like
feeling is
yeah,
constant throughout.
yes, right, right, and it's just like it's one of those ones that's happened like I said, 7, 8 times. It hasn't happened in a while, thank God, but weird. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if that's even paranormal or not, because I have the feelings in the dreams are the same feelings I've had when paranormal things have happened. That's why I'm like, is this something like visiting me in my dreams that's just letting me know that it's there? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like that's the most like bad way I could take it, or if it's just a dream. You know what I mean? Just a dream, and it's my mind using that same feeling in a dream. I don't know.
Yeah. Who
Because it's
knows?
experience I don't you know what I mean? I don't know, it's just weird. I just felt like putting it out there in case anyone else has had weird dream stuff like that before where it's like reoccurring dreams and because this one's weird because it's not like a reoccurring dream necessarily, it's like a reoccurring theme and a
Yeah.
reoccurring feeling when a dream.
Yeah, that's weird because I get that same, like I said, I get that same feeling when sleep paralysis is about to happen.
Mm,
Um, and most people experience sleep paralysis, like, once they're ready to sleep. For some reason, mine happened as I'm about to fall asleep or something. I feel just the room get heavy,
yeah.
and I know something is there in the room. And most of the time, as I got older, I just was like, I'm not going to pay attention to you because the moment that I make eye contact with whatever it is, wherever I spot it in the room, is the moment that I'm just trapped in a paralysis type state. But
Jeez.
it's that same feeling of like just a heaviness, like it's just weighing down on you, and you know something is not right
Yeah,
wherever you
dude.
are.
So what do you how do you feel about sleep paralysis? I know like it's like a thing, like But you think there's actually paranormal stuff going on at the
I
same
think
time?
I think there could be there's obviously a medical thing that happens.
Sure.
Things that I've learned is that um, most of the time when people have it is when they're at an extremely stressed point in their life. They're very stressed in the moment, and then sleep paralysis will happen
Hmm.
during those times. Uh, but then there you have people who see the same entity. They see different kinds of entities. I've had um, stories that I found were, for some reason, on East Coast type of like just on the East Coast, people have experienced the same spider-like entity during a sleep paralysis,
Interesting.
um, and it's mainly on the East Coast for some reason. Um,
Weird.
and Tate and her sister and her brother all experienced the same type of paralysis dream where a spider was coming down on them from the ceiling. And then there were other stories of people um, in New York, I think at the time, who had that kind of same paralysis dream. But I think it's one of those things that just kind of leave you susceptible
Yeah.
to something.
Right. Yeah.
So not
Definitely.
necessarily every moment, every sleep paralysis is going
Sure.
to be a paranormal thing, but paranormal things do happen
Yeah.
in those
Right.
moments sometimes.
Yeah. It seems like it's like a period where you're like the veil of both worlds are kind of like in that sleep world are kind of like almost intertwined, or it's because strange things happen when we sleep anyway. I mean, just the way our minds work and putting together information and that whole process and dreams in general. And
I think
so,
that
yeah,
your
I
mind
mean,
is fully kind of unlocked at that moment. There's no
yeah,
restraints in your mind
that's right.
when
Yep.
you're asleep, so you can access more things.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
why you have dreams of, like, your dream kind of telling you, like, "Hey, you're in a rough spot right now. You should cut ties with this person. You should do this." It's like
Mhm.
your inner self or a higher being, like, talking to you in that moment.
Mhm. Yeah, right. Yeah, dude, it's definitely interesting, I think.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think that's probably it. I mean, I do have like other I could talk forever about paranormal stories, but I don't know if you want to get into the EVPs now
Yeah,
or
we
if you
can
want
do
to.
that. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
we have that video lined up that you sent,
Perfect.
and
Um,
so
so you want me to queue it up?
I got them queued
Oh,
up
cool.
here,
Perfect.
right here. Um,
Awesome.
so I'll just transfer over. I don't know if you wanna introduce it first.
Yeah, so this video just came out tonight as of this recording, but by the time you guys are listening or watching this, it's already out. So this video is called my craziest paranormal experience in the Huckamuck Swamp, and it really was. So this first chunk of um, footage you're about to see. So basically, when I first get there, it's within a matter of 8 minutes of me being there, maybe 10 minutes. I walked to an area where I've been to many times before. I was telling you off air, I caught that EVP of the cold and the
Yeah,
heat and all that stuff. It's within 50 feet of this area. It's all like within this area right here.
okay.
So basically, when I first arrived, I was doing EVP sessions and stuff, and I kept on hearing like little noises in front of me, like in the woods. And then all of a sudden, I don't. The first like big noise. It's the first clip you're gonna see is like what I heard was a huge crash and a noise and stuff. But what I caught on camera is different, which
Okay.
was really weird. I mean, I did have the microphone pointed towards me and not towards the noise,
Uh-huh.
but I did catch an EVP in there as well. And, after that, it's just basically I kept on hearing noises and metal and glass move together and movement and all these, like, weird noises within the swamp where there shouldn't be those kind of noises and there shouldn't be people, so it's like something's moving cans around in there
Yeah,
and banging against trees, and
and you can definitely hear it.
yeah. Yep. There's some of them that are more clear than others, but yeah, you can definitely hear it. So that this first chunk is basically me trying to figure out what these noises are and just hearing more and more noises. And then once it goes black, you can pause it, and then I'll queue up.
Okay, cool. Let's hear this first one.
I don't know. I just
Wait, did it play? Can you hear
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
What the hell was that?
You guys hear that? Hello? Hello? Yeah, so just weird noises that I just couldn't trace down, and they seemed like some seemed like 20 feet away, but
Mhm.
I couldn't see anything. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like thick in there, so like it's hard to see from certain vantage points. But
You can definitely hear noises. Like you can
dude,
definitely hear.
yeah.
Like,
hmm The weirdest one in out of all those is like the beeping and then the thudding.
mhm.
Because I'm like, okay, what electronic thing would be in a swamp like that? Like, I don't know. Like the only thing I could think of logically was like maybe a drone crashed in there or something that was making noise. But
And
it does
how far away from sorry, how far away from any like anything where you'd be able to pick up something that close
like
by?
the nearest house is probably God 500 feet away. 600, like
Yeah.
pretty far out. It's like so like where I was looking into from the vantage point of the camera is swamp. So in there is all water at this point. Some of it was a little bit frozen over, but at this point it's kind of melting because it was kind of a warmer day.
Mhm.
So back in there, it's not walkable. Like as far as where the noises were coming from, it's not walkable.
Mm.
Um, at least, I mean, you could walk it, but you'd be in freezing cold water up to your probably knees, and I don't even know if you could walk it necessarily. Just because it's a swamp, you know.
Yeah.
And that particular area is like really wet. It's not like a part of the swamp where there's maybe some areas where you can hug some trees and get in a little bit further,
Yeah.
which I would not recommend anyway.
Yeah.
Um, just because this area is like a really huge, massive, um, swamp preserve for animals and stuff like that, and you can hunt in there and stuff. But even every time I've been there, there's a few hunters here and there, maybe. Where I was parked, there was only one other car, and there's, I mean, a few other entrances. But as far as that area, if you were going there to hunt, you'd park where I parked. So, and like I said, I said hello many times, and if it was a hunter or someone hunting out, they would have said hello back or said something to me, or
Yeah.
like shut up, hey, you're like ruining my, but nothing ever responded back. Um, it's just weird, just a
Yeah,
real,
it's
really
weird that
strange experience.
especially if you're hearing those noises come from the swamp area.
Right, right.
Like
There should be nothing in there. There
mhm.
should, first of all, I mean, there is like maybe some like trash near where the pathway is. Sometimes like people are out there hunting, they throw beers out or whatever. But to be in the middle of the swamp and have like metal noises and beeping noises and glass moving around and cans moving around and thuds, it's just like I can understand like the first some of the noises I can understand possibly being just normal things like the tree falling down. Like trees fall down all the time in the swamp. I've seen many that have fallen.
The knock noise, yeah.
Yep, that can definitely happen. That's normal. But as far as the metal noises and all the other stuff, I can't explain that. And
Have you gone back to that spot at the same time and tried to record in that same area? Almost like if it's a residual type of thing.
right, that's what I want to do. So the next time I go, I want to go there specifically and just hang out for a couple minutes, or even
Yeah.
go there at the same time, that same on a Friday, that same time, and see. Because it wasn't a particularly windy day, so the wind wasn't blowing. It wasn't like maybe a can was in a tree and it was
Yeah.
blowing around, but that doesn't describe all the noises. So like, it's just very weird.
Yeah, I
Really,
think
really
that'd be
weird.
interesting to see if it's a residual type haunting, like if it's
Mhm.
just happening on a certain day at a certain time, and you
Right,
can catch all those same noises.
right. Because I've been there numerous times, many times of the year, and I've never had anything like that happen before, where I've heard stuff like that. That frequently. Yes, I've heard like a tin noise or something bang metal like once and then not hear it the rest of the time I was there or So, but to hear those noises repeatedly, excuse me, was just weird. Really
Yeah,
weird.
was it, how long between each one of those clips? I know, because I don't know if they happened, like, back to back or if it was, like, just a couple minutes between each one.
It was pretty much by the time from the first moment I hear that first noise, it's basically from the last noise I hear and I move on to I basically just the only reason why I stopped filming that area in the video is because I'm kinda just like I get, like, spooked, and I just kinda need a break, and so I kinda do a randonautica point, and I just kinda go the other way for a little while, and then I come back,
Yeah.
and then I start hearing noises again. So,
Mm,
but I would say the whole experience was probably from start to finish 20 minutes, probably, from,
alright.
first noise to, like, the last noise I heard before I walked
Mhm.
away. Yeah, probably like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that.
Alright.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's still good enough time between each one to, like.
Yeah, it to be, just some sort of random happenstance
Mhm.
or just some random and it seemed to get weirder as they went along. Like the one I'm really hung up on is the beeping and then
No,
the
yeah, that
noise.
one's definitely that because you can definitely hear the beep, like, the
Yeah,
beeping, like.
right. So I'm flabbergasted at that because this
Yeah.
is a swamp. There should be no electronics
Yeah.
like that in there, like that, so, yeah, dude, I don't know. Been a little while. I do literally put this clip together, so I forget what's next, but I think it's definitely more Huckamuck. I caught a couple EVPs here. So I
Your
don't
favorite spot, the Huckamuck Swamp?
Yeah, I pretty much like, you know what it is? It's I wanted to start there at the beginning of the year this year first,
Uh-huh.
because, like, it was one of the first places I went to when I first started. So I wanted to, like, be, like, the first place to, like, kick off the
Yeah,
year or whatever, and it's, like, a
that
place
makes
I do
sense.
go to a lot, and, I always happen to catch, like, some crazy stuff happen there, so it's a great spot to go, so,
I
I
don't blame you at all.
think there's a couple EVPs coming up. If not, maybe one more sound noise where I freak out. I don't remember if I put that in here, but you can
Okay.
there might be a little bit of black in between, but
Yeah, let's see. No, always good stuff.
yeah. They call this place where spirits dwell, and on numerous occasions, I've gotten the response removal. Did somebody remove bodies from this place? I don't want to get put the apple before the cart, but I'm pretty sure that said a witch. Yeah, so that was something I did not expect, and what's weird about that is, like, what I like most about paranormal stuff or the word bank especially, and when you go back to places more and more and more,
Mhm.
I've gotten removal on the word bank there on different times, I would say at least 4 or 5 times,
Mm.
and I've always thought, I was like, "That's kind of weird," why or, like, kinda just like the cold stuff or the freezing, and that's this and same situation with the Huckamuck where it keeps on reoccurring.
Yeah,
Um
like, the reason I love doing a spirit box thing, even though you do have radio that comes in, it's going so fast through scanning through everything that if you get something that is the same voice going for multiple syllables, like even just more than one syllable,
Mhm.
then you know you got something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. And I
And
wasn't expecting that answer either.
yeah.
That was, like, the last answer I was expecting, and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "That's kinda wild." Which, I mean, makes sense if it was a real witch, maybe she's digging up the bodies for some sort of ritual or some sort of, Lord knows,
A
like
witch in a swamp makes the most
dude,
sense.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It almost sounds like, "Yeah, that sounds right?"
Yeah.
And
Like,
like, "Yeah."
I don't even question it. I don't even
Yeah,
question
yep, you're like, "Yep, that sounds right."
yeah.
I think there's 2 more Huckabuck. I think these next 2 are EVPs.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, so that's the one I was describing before with the 2 women. I think it's 2 women. I think it sounds like 2 women.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I didn't hear
The first one's hard to hear the first time, I
yeah,
feel.
that's why I kind of, like, focused in and, like,
Yep.
really, like,
It's
went
it
to go
that
hear
it is definitely the lower of the 2. The second one is it's a little bit
yeah, yeah.
louder.
Yeah, I can hear
Um,
that one.
but yeah, just it it's literally a conversation between the 2 of them, like, I'm assuming they're talking about me because I am the only man there, so,
Mhm.
um
And what a man they say, huh?
I got that's what this I was talking to you about this beforehand, so I was like, "What do they mean by that? Do they mean that they're not human, and they're saying, 'Oh, what a man,' that's a
Yeah.
man?' Or are they just literally saying one of them's literally saying, 'Oh, what a man,' and the other one's saying, 'Yeah, he's cold, I guess,' or cool?" See, then I was like, "Is she saying cool or cold?" And
Yeah,
so I
one
was
of them.
trying to figure out.
It's either, like, one of them really likes you and the other one's like, "Yeah, he's cool."
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's I don't know, I kinda like it. I was like, "It's pretty funny," as far as
No, that's
EVPs
good,
go.
that's
It's
good.
random, random. So this next one, as honestly, I think it's the best EVP I've ever caught just because of how clear it is. Yes, it is a whisper, but I think it's pretty clear.
Hell yeah. This time.
Like I said, I don't know what they were talking about. Um, I think leading up to that point, I was just like, I think I was literally gonna go on a bathroom break. So I was literally just about to shut off. Actually, was done recording. I was walking over to put my camera down and then going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something before it gets to where you can hear it sounds like something is saying something while you're walking,
Mhm. Yep.
so you can't really hear it as well, but then
Yeah.
once you kinda stop and it hears that, know who you go with.
Mhm. Yeah.
I wanna
Yeah.
know the full sentence of what
I know, I know, I know, I know, and it was so clear too. And of course, like in the moment, I don't even know this is even happening.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I'm clueless. This is that I even caught an EVP or they're trying to talk to me right now. If I would have just stopped, I could have gotten the whole thing. But yeah, just so clear the part that I do get, and it's just like know who you go with,
yeah.
and I'm like, what are you referencing?
Yeah, because I definitely heard it the first time it played
Yep.
through,
Mhm.
and then I think the other times you play it again, I was really trying to hear what it was saying right before to know who you
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It is it's I feel like it's obviously one of those ones where, like, you wish you had more of it or but
Yeah.
just such a cool little EVP. So the last thing I had on here, say I think the last time I was on, I was, like, in the middle of editing, like, my Penhurst stuff.
Mhm.
So the second time I went to Penhurst, we caught a full body apparition. So unbelievable. So literally, um, at Eastern State Penitentiary, for those of you who don't know, you can go there and paranormal investigate. It's open to the public as far as you pay some money, they'll let you go there, they split you up into groups, and they'll take you around the whole property. They'll be like, all right, well, this building is XYZ, this is what happened here, blah, blah, blah. So you have like a little guide, and it's like basically a group of, I think our group was like 12 people, uh,
Mhm.
15 people, something like that. Um, so this is literally our first building that we go into. It's one of the tunnels, and so this complex was all connected via tunnel systems. So that way you wouldn't have to leave and go outside. You could just literally go down into the basement of whatever building you're in, go down to the tunnels, and go right up and come up in another building somewhere else. So you didn't have so in case it was raining outside or whatever, you could
Yeah.
pretty much have access to the entire complex. So in one of these tunnels, there's said to be a spirit of a man who used to be a janitor there, who mistreated young women and did some bad things.
Yeah.
And so he's known to be down in this particular area. And so the lady that's telling the guide or whatever, she's basically telling us all these what's supposed to be down there, what people have said, that they've seen, all these other things. And so all of a sudden, this girl in our group who is like a sensitive or whatever, she literally like stops the girl. She's like, excuse me, there's a man standing down at the end of the hall. And so Eric's with me with my camera. I can't see it just because of the lighting.
Mhm.
But Eric, my sister's husband, who's with us, he has like a really nice camera, one of those like fancy cameras. So he like can take pictures in the dark and stuff. So he takes a picture when one of the people that's with us flashes his light down at the end of the hall. There's like this plastic sheet that's like kind of half hanging down, right
Mhm.
at the end of the kind of midway down, and this full body apparition is like literally standing behind um that like plastic sheet. And so the girl sees this and she's like, I see a man standing down there. And then my sister, who's like standing next to the girl from their vantage point, she's like, I can see him too. And so then Eric snaps a picture, and this is what we caught. So the first picture is like a wide shot of the regular shot, and then I have another shot after where it's zoomed in where you can really see the features of this guy. And what
Okay.
and then if you want, we can talk about it after if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can see him on like I'm sure you can see him on the left hand side of the screen.
Mhm.
See the
Yeah.
arm, the head.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is the first place we went down to. No one, like literally, we haven't even split up yet. We haven't even started the investigation. Like no one's supposed to be down there. And the girl did walk down there. There's no one physically down there when she walked down there. Like she had the light on and was looking around. And of course, there was nobody down there. But for that, whatever it was, 5 to 8 seconds, he was there for those 5 to 8 seconds, standing behind that plastic sheet. And
Yeah.
dude,
Like you would. My first thing was like, oh, it could be a light from behind somebody casting the shadow, but there are no other shadows from any of the other people
yep.
along there. It's like just
Mm-hmm.
that single one.
Yep, and the guy with the flashlight, I think he is also in the front too. So there's no one standing behind him. I'd have to look at the photo again, but I feel like there is. I think we're all standing like behind him. He's like one of the ones in the front.
Yeah.
So yeah. The only other shadow is just that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I said even if you
yeah,
were to try to explain it away by a light being behind,
mhm,
you would get the shadow of everybody in the group,
yeah,
not just a
yep,
single shadow that kind of seems like one arm is kind of longer
yes,
inside.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little like lopsided. Yeah, it's a crazy experience. We got some unbelievable evidence that night. I mean, Penhurst is just a crazy place. I mean, I don't know. It's a literal toss up between like the two most haunted places I've been. It's either the Huckamuck Swamp or it's Penhurst. And every time I'm like, oh, it's one or the other. Like I'll go to the Huckamuck and I have like the experience I just had,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh no, the Huckamuck's more haunted. And then I'll go back to Penhurst and be like, now I caught a full body apparition. It's like, well, I have to say this is the most haunted place now.
They're competing with each other.
They literally are. They're like, oh, okay, yep. They think they got you with those noises. Just wait till you come back next
Yeah.
time.
Here's a full-bodied
Yeah.
apparition.
I'm here for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me capture it, please. Oh man, but yeah,
I didn't know
and
if that
that was it. That was
all
all of
right.
the. I didn't want to like over. I could. We could be here all night, literally, if you want. Like looking up like some of the because I've done it's because what was I on? I was on like maybe May or June. I was last on
Mhm.
something like that. So I think since then, I think I've gone to Penhurst twice. I've done probably like 3 or 4 Huckamuck video. I've done so many like videos since then that I went to I went to Shutter Island where they filmed Shutter Island. Did I tell you that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. It's called Medfield State. It's in Massachusetts. They didn't film all of the movie there,
Uh-huh.
but some of the movies filmed there. They also filmed um New Mutants there. There was a movie called New Mutants that they also filmed
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Came out a few years ago. But yeah, that place is definitely haunted too. I caught some good EVPs over there. That place is kind of like I kind of wish it was like 10 years ago, and because now like the town's like bought it and it's like a park. So all of the buildings are like all locked up. You can't like get inside the building, so you can only like walk the grounds. And I've walked the grounds and caught EVPs, but I can only imagine if I could like get into the buildings, and I'm sure we could catch even more evidence. But like I said, the town owns it; it's all locked up. So it's kind of like one of those things. Like I wish I could get in there, or wish it was 10 years ago when it was abandoned, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But yeah,
We're just
no,
gonna have to keep having you back on. It'll be
that's
it'll
right.
be it'll be a new segment of the show, and it'll just be "Get Your Paranormal Fill with Phil."
It's like the ultimate dad joke
Yeah.
theme
Yeah.
for, dude, that's awesome, I love it. I'm down.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down for that because, like
Yeah,
I
dude.
said, people dig it. People really dig it. I
Yeah,
think that
no.
was, like, one of the most popular of the episodes that dropped last year.
Oh, really? That's good, I'm glad, I'm glad. No, I appreciate all the support, your fans are showing me, you showed me, but I think we're definitely friends now, which
Yeah,
is cool. We're a pair of homies
they're
as
homies. Yeah, you got one
shout
of the
out
stickers
yep,
there.
it's right, he did, he sent me the pair of homie sticker. I'm gonna have to like I said, I have to find somewhere to put it,
Yeah,
somewhere
only a
cool.
select few got the holographic kind of style.
Oh, I love it.
Only the pair of homies got
That's right.
holographic
Only
style.
only the coolest of the
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
You heard the woman and the
yeah. What a man.
what a man.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, not bad.
You like, I deal with it from real people and then ghosts at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, there's always a skeptic.
Yeah. Well, that'd be great.
Uh,
Yeah, people are gonna dig this like they dug the last one. I mean, it's always good talking to you. Like I said,
yeah,
we're homies, we're a pair of homies.
yep, agreed.
And yeah, we'll create that segment. Get your paranormal fill with Phil, and it'll be a thing.
I love it, I love it, moving forward.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, this was awesome. It's a good way to end the night. Like I think I told you before the show, it's just been dealing with snow, dealing with work. So this is a good way to kind of escape.
Oh, dude, for sure, for sure. No, and it's been a good time too. Just hanging out. I mean, obviously the stories are cool and all that stuff, but like even just talking like paranormal stuff, just different theories and stuff. That's I know, guys. I don't get to talk about like paranormal stuff with pretty much anybody
Yeah.
besides myself. So I'm like bouncing theories off myself. What do you think about that, Phil?
Yeah, yeah, that's how I am driving around.
Yeah.
And
So it's good to get it out, you know.
if I try to tell Tate, she's like, "This is too spooky. This is too
Yeah,
scary."
yeah, 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 yeah. Do you know what's going on in the closet?
Yeah, but she'll text me all the time. I hear noises. I don't want to get out of the room, and I'm just like, "There's nothing. You're fine. Go about your business."
Yeah, that's right.
But why don't you let everybody know again where they can find you, subscribe if they want to see more of the
Yeah.
things that you catch.
Sure, yeah, my YouTube page is Canadian Dutch Boys Studios. My all of my socials are Exploring with Phil. That's with 2 L's. Minus Twitter, which is exploring_Phil. That's the only one. Only because Exploring with Phil wouldn't fit. I don't
Okay.
know why Twitter is like the only one that it won't fit, but yeah, it won't fit. So that's the only one that's different. Everything else is Exploring with Phil. Um, yeah, thanks for having me as always. It's been great hanging out. I appreciate all the support you give me and your fans.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like this guy's podcast, give him 5-star rating, subscribe to my page, like the video, share our this video to everybody, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll throw it on TikTok too because I'm
Yeah.
trying to get more.
Oh, dude, thank you. You know what? I literally made a TikTok. I broke down.
Oh, there you go.
Because I heard another podcast talking about TikTok, and they're like a medium-sized podcast, not like
Yeah,
a huge like Rogan or something.
yeah,
And they were saying, just on some like random clips of their podcast, they were getting some like really good hits, 26,000 and that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, that's pretty good exposure. So I made one last night, and I literally put the trailer for this video that we talked about today on there. And it did really well for like one night. And I don't really know what I'm doing because I just started TikTok, but it
yeah,
seems like basically just reels to me.
yeah.
Um,
That's
Instagram
exactly the
Reels,
same
right?
thing. It's
Yeah,
exactly the
so
same
I
thing.
what I realized is Instagram stole Reels from them, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I know how to do this." So, yeah, and so I am on TikTok exploring with Phill, same as
Cool.
everywhere else. So,
Yeah, and I'll get all the links and put it in the show notes.
yeah, and I'll post it on my channel and all that stuff on my channel, my socials as well.
Yeah, if I make when I make the little clip, I'll take a clip and I'll put it for TikTok. I'll just send you that clip so you can post it onto yours too.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll put it on my story and I'll post it too.
All
Yeah,
right.
we'll pump it out. We'll get it out to the masses.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, thank you again, Phill, for coming on. This has been good. This has been real good.
Yeah, man.
Been a
Hell
real
yeah,
good
dude.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, and to all the listeners, watchers on YouTube, I forget sometimes. Don't forget to ask questions and face your fears. Take it easy.